This is going to be a short video about the double throttle control system and how it works on my car and the effects it had on it. If you're familiar with the FDs, it has a double throttle control system, which is butterflies that run across in the top of the upper intake manifold. Many people do disable this, as it doesn't seem to have much effect on the car. In fact, this car, it was disabled since I've owned the car. When I first got the car, it had a few broken solenoids, a few broken vacuum lines. So I left it disabled until I went and did my rat's nest, which, if you've been watching my videos, I posted a video about doing the rat's nest. I did not hook up the double throttle even after doing the rat's nest because I ran out of the one-way valves. During the rest of my process restoring this, I also replaced the O2 sensor, spark plugs, plug wires, everything to get this thing running in tip-top shape as a factory car. So that being said, I still had this kind of weird quirk on a cold start. When you first start it, cold start, you would get a little bit of oscillating RPM only while it was cold, but after about a minute or so of warming up, then it would smooth out and then you had a rock solid idle. Got me kind of thinking, what else could it be? I already replaced like everything related to the system. Everything's been cleaned, injector's been cleaned, all the sensors are new, solenoids are new. So one day I was just watching one of Rob Dahm's videos when he was testing the different manifolds, and he came across results with the factory FD upper intake manifold. Made a drastic change in his idle. Now the biggest difference is he's using a single butterfly throttle body. So when he's using the aftermarket intake manifold, it doesn't have the secondary throttle butterflies like the FD manifold does. Everything controlling idle essentially is just the throttle body itself. That's a lot of volume. It's a really large throttle body. The manifold's meant to flow. When he put on the factory FD manifold, it was a night and day idle, just due to the volume of air flowing. Where the air flows, as he'll explain in the video. I'm going to put a link in the description for Rob Dahm's video where it gave me this idea. So I figured if it made that big of a difference on his car, I was like, well, maybe there is a difference with the factory FD as well. So FDs have this system called a double throttle control system. It is controlled by this diaphragm here. There is a rod that goes into the diaphragm. It's kind of dark back there. It's attached to this linkage. And I could actually move it. If you can get a better picture there. It'll move there. It's actuated by a vacuum, which comes from this vacuum line. The vacuum line actually goes underneath the manifold and then into the solenoid that's on the rat's nest. It has one of these one-way check valves on it. That way you can't boost into the solenoid valve. So it's been a common misconception, I think, in the RX7 community for years. And I found some threads where it's been fixed and it shows the actual FSM documentation. But a lot of times it was said that this system only actuates and closes these butterflies off in the upper intake manifold when the car's cold. Now that's halfway correct. It does keep them closed when it's cold. I don't remember the exact temperature, but if you look at the actual diagram in the FSM, the other condition to keep these things closed is at idle. So Rob Dahm's video kind of sparked this in my head. Lots of people run this without this double throttle control system operating. It's common practice to actually mod it and remove it, which is actually really easy to do. But after watching Rob Dahm's video, I decided to check out, or I guess test this. Mine was disconnected because when I did my rat's nest, I actually ran out of these one-way check valves, so I just left the system disconnected as I have in the past. Like I said, it's a common mod to actually remove this off your engines, but I always had this weird idle when it's cold. Only first start when the car's really, really cold. I get a little bit of oscillating idle. The second it warms up, then it's fine. So I just kind of thought I'd give it a try. So I hooked my double throttle back up. It's working properly now to where it's working at idle and while it's cold, and my idle is fixed. So not really that big of a deal. People have been running it without this system for years, but if you're having strange idle issues, I think it's worth a shot. I think Rob Dahm proved how big of a difference those plates actually make. So here we are from a dead cold start. You'll see the idle kind of oscillate rapidly. Right there. Kind of shakes a little bit. Only happens from a dead cold start. It's really not that big of a deal, but it just kind of got me thinking. All right, here we go. Here's another cold start the next morning after replacing the vacuum line and check valve. Cold start, everything works as it should now, so I'm super happy, and I really have Rob Dahm to thank for kind of putting that idea in my head on how much effect those secondary butterflies has on your idle. Now, the effect on the factory FD like mine is nowhere near what he saw, because I still have the FD throttle body. I don't have the single butterfly throttle body, but you know, I'm trying to get this car in tip-top shape. I'm restoring this thing. Little quirks like that are always going to eat at me in the back of my head, but now everything runs perfectly. I can move on to the next step of throwing on some basic modifications. I have an intake I'm going to be putting on. I'm going to be taking this down to a local shop that works on FDs, has a hub dyno, and I want to use the same dyno every time, but I'm going to take this down and get a baseline on what the car does, bone stock, and then I'm going to throw on my auto EXE intake and then dyno it, just see what it get. I don't expect much on just an intake. In the past, I've really not seen that big of improvements, but maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But either way, now I can rest knowing that everything on here is operating as it should. It's going to be reliable. I can start doing some basic mods and just enjoy the car. So stay tuned for more videos. Some of the next upcoming videos are going to be this on the dyno, getting a baseline for what a factory Infiniti FD does on the dyno. Down the road, I'm probably going to put the 240 on the dyno as well. We built it 20 years ago. It's never seen a dyno. I'm interested to see just kind of what power it's putting down on a 20-year-old engine that we've been beating on for a long time. Really old technology on there, old turbo, but the car still rips. I'm interested to see what it puts down to the wheels, and I'm really interested to see what this does. And I would like to compare this JDM dyno with the USDM bone stock car. If you're liking these videos, let me know in the chat, throw me a like, subscribe, share. I'm really trying to do some technical stuff out there that I wish was around when I was first getting into cars. So if there's any questions about the FD or the 240, please let me know, and maybe I can throw something out there for you. Until next time.